What's up? First off, Sorcery gets a meaningful buff and a usability overhaul. The Tome of Karak progression has been rebalanced and sped up. A handful of new chalk circles summoning rituals were added, and the devs removed some of the tier 1 reagent costs that used to make early spellcasting feel like a penalty box. The net effect is that if you've been avoiding magical playstyles because the resource math felt brutal, you'll find trying out even a hybrid caster to be far less of a grind and way more fun to experiment with. Alongside that, the update nudges the sacrificial systems to be less of a time sink, harvesting and bottling. Sacrificial blood is now more efficient, which isn't flashy but is huge for anyone who's invested in summoning or blood-based rituals. Less running back and forth to farms and fewer repetitive loops mean you can actually get to the cool parts, the rituals, the encounters, the eventual payoff, instead of spending half your session managing inventory chores. If you like building a sorcery setup, this one change reduces the pain barrier and makes the whole line of play more satisfying. On the construction and crafting side, there are a couple of quality of life moves that quietly change everyday flow. The construction hammer now draws on resources carried by your followers, which is a small tweak that removes an annoying micromanagement step. You no longer have to over-encumber yourself before placing that long wall or roof piece. And starting a recipe at a crafting station will pull materials automatically from your inventory, so you're not constantly opening menus to dump mats into machines. These two changes together shave off dozens of tiny interruptions during big builds and crafting sprees, and they'll feel especially sweet when you're expanding a base or mass crafting items for a clan. Travel and movement get a practical tweak too. The corruption increase tied to using transporter stones has been significantly reduced, which softens the punishment for teleporting frequently. That means shorter, safer transit between hot zones, bases, and vendors without constantly flirting with debilitating corruption. It doesn't eliminate risk entirely, but it shifts teleporting from only if absolutely necessary to a viable, regular tool in your navigation toolbox, and that changes player behavior in small but meaningful ways. You'll see more dynamic movement and possibly more skirmishes at teleport endpoints because people will move more aggressively. Another practical fix addresses some of the worst annoyances with purges. The patch includes corrections so purges shouldn't spawn inside or annoyingly path into other people's land claims as often. For server admins and players who've dealt with purges acting like griefing spawns, this update aims to make purge behavior more predictable and fairer, stabilizing progression for both PvE and PvP communities. It's one of those back-end improvements that doesn't make headlines but prevents a lot of rage posts on forums. And yes, there's a scatter of stability and performance fixes across all platforms. Smaller crashes patched, some AI and encounter tuning, and various bug fixes that clean up long-standing annoyances. Nothing here is revolutionary on its own, but the accumulation of these small fixes plus the QoL and sorcery changes makes the overall package feel like a thoughtful update rather than a slapped-on hotfix. If you're the sort of player who notices the little details, better follower behavior when building, fewer menu fiddles, less grind for ritual resources, you'll appreciate how this one smooths a lot of friction points. If you're planning how to spend your next session, try a short sorcery tutorial run to get a feel for the rebalanced tome progression. Set up a bottle and harvest loop now that sacrificial blood is kinder to your time, and test a medium-sized build to enjoy the follower resource trick. Also give teleporting a few consecutive uses so you can see how corruption ramps now, and keep an eye on purges for any odd behavior that slips through. The patch fixes a lot, but these systems are complex and sometimes reveal edge cases after rollout. The update's tone is clearly one of polish and accessibility, making systems less punitive, smoothing tedium, and nudging fringe gameplay into the realm of viable choices. So, yeah, it's not a content bomb, but it's the kind of update that quietly changes how you experience the game every time you log in. Sorcery comes up a few notches, building doesn't feel like busywork, travel is less punishing, and purges behave better. If you enjoy the game's systems, this one is worth a handful of sessions to explore the new rhythms it introduces.